Good morning, world. Today I will be covering a topic very near and dear to my heart, and something kind of important if you know me in general. Basically, that thing I'm going to be talking about today is cafes and Korean cafe culture. Today I'm coming at you guys with another video on my love of coffee. Last time I made a video on how I start my mornings, which is with pour over coffee. But this time, since I'm stuck in Seoul, I wanted to talk about Korean cafe culture. If you watch Korean dramas, which are all the rage in the Philippines and the world too, so many scenes are shot in cafes that cafes are kind of synonymous with Korean culture in a way. So this video is all about my favorite cafes and the ones that I think have really good coffee. Because I usually make pour overs at home, whenever I go out, I typically go for espresso, so that's mainly what I'm gonna be drinking. So I'm gonna go get dressed and let's head out. So I'm basically just walking around Sangsu right now to the next. Oh look, there's one right there. I like cafes because I like the ambiance, I like the culture of it, and I have to say, like, Korea's cafe culture is top class. Like, I'm sure everyone or anyone who's been to Korea can agree with me, but hopefully through this video you'll kind of see what I mean when I say that. All of them are basically just like small third wave coffee shops. They're not even like franchises. Maybe Duke's, which is from Australia, because they got really good coffee. Coffee's lit. Coffee started in 3 waves. First wave was instant coffee. Second wave was Starbucks. Third wave is craft artisanal third wave coffee, i.e. small independent roasters that, you know, some eventually become big, i.e. Blue Bottle. And coming from the Philippines, we have like a long way to go. Because cafe culture is so big in Korea, making sure that your cafe has good coffee is kind of a prerequisite. So a lot of the cafes that I'll be showing you actually roast their own beans, which are available for purchase, which also make a good souvenir or pasalubong to friends or family back home in the Philippines. And when a coffee shop is roasting their own beans, you kind of know that they're very serious about their craft and that they're confident enough to sell it. Starting us off is Grey Grist Mill, which has a minimal design with an emphasis on craft coffee. What makes this place lit as a coffee shop is that they have their own in-store roaster and a wide selection of coffee beans. When you order, they have a selection of individual single origin bags that you can choose to have as espresso or drip. Felt isn't their coffee-focused minimal shop, but what I love is their focus on espresso. Another place is Duke's, an import from Melbourne and one of the places to go if you're ever in that city. Like Grey Grist Mill, customers can choose among a selection of beans for either pour over or espresso. Another thing that kind of comes along with having really good coffee is good pastries. So a lot of times when you go to these coffee shops, you'll find great accompaniments to your coffee, something sweet to balance out the bitter. Being born in San Francisco, Tartine Bakery is the OG original cafe and bakery in San Francisco. So being a San Franciscan myself, I can personally vouch for the coffee, pastries, food, ambiance, and everything else that Tartine Bakery has to offer in its South Korean import. But one other aspect that I noticed about Korean cafes is the distinction between aesthetics and vibe. So I love aesthetics, and in Korea you'll find industrial ones that are kind of New York, concrete, brutalist. So this is Anthracite. It's a very good local coffee brand that apparently expanded into 3 more locations in Seoul. But this cafe and its aesthetic is a prime example of Korea's cafe culture. Aesthetics, good coffee, and a work or social environment. As you can see, the aesthetic is very industrial, concrete, Brooklyn-esque, but all cafes are very unique and flavored in their own way. Anthracite roasts their own beans, which are available for purchase, so definitely a spot to check out in Korea. Or even old, cozy, wooden, aesthetic cafes. Five Brewing is operated by a barista champion, so you know the coffee, whether espresso or brewed, will be good. But the cozy wooden interior makes this cafe a nice place to work during the day, or a place to lounge and chill at. But on the other hand, when we're talking about vibe, I like going to cafes to work. So most of the time I post up with either a book or my laptop. And sometimes I kind of like to just people watch too. And then there are the cafes that you go to for social reasons, catching up with friends, or going on dates. And because I'm single, I avoid those. I I avoid those very hard. And so I noticed this distinction between cafes you want to work at and cafes you just want to lounge at and have a good time. And at the end of the day, these two things contribute to the vast variety of Korean cafe culture, which in a way kind of plays into all these cafes that you see in Korean dramas. 네. 네. So this brings me back to an idea that I brought up in the beginning of the video of the 3 waves of coffee, which is essentially a sign of market maturity. And after living in the Philippines for about 10 months now, I noticed that the market in Korea is different than the market in the Philippines. So basically, market maturity goes in 3 stages: agriculture to manufacturing to services. But because of the Philippines' history, we unfortunately never got to go past the first stage. Multinational corporations such as Dole, known for their pineapples, basically took over our agricultural sector. And after the Second World War, the Philippines started importing products from America, thus stopping us at manufacturing. And this kind of explains why 3-in-1 coffee is so big in the Philippines. For those of you that don't know what 3-in-1 coffee is, it's basically a pre-packet mix of sugar, milk, and coffee. In this case, Robusta, which is the most ubiquitous strain used for instant coffee, and a great representation of first wave coffee, i.e. Folgers. But with increasing wages and a developing middle class, I've seen more second wave coffee roasters in the Philippines, i.e. Starbucks, Tim Hortons, The Coffee Bean, etc. But for me, because the Philippines is still in this second wave, most of these cafes are very ubiquitous, which I noticed is the reason why smaller cafes in Manila are starting to gain more interest. But going back to South Korea and the cafe culture here, this diversity of third wave coffee roasters makes Korean cafes have more personality and makes cafe hopping more fun. Of course, South Korea didn't originally start like this. When Starbucks first came in, they too were in the second wave, but as their market matured, more independent third wave coffee roasters blew up everywhere. So with that market maturity, that's why I noticed walking 2 blocks in any direction, at least 6 unique cafes, whether they be chains or small roasters. And I know coffee is a commodity. And in South Korea, my friend told me that because a 4,000 won cup of coffee, equivalent to maybe $4, $3.50, is very much out of a daily consumer's budget. Starbucks coffee in its beginning in Korea was seen as a status symbol. So I've noticed that there is maybe a little bit of a reflection of that in the kind of cafes that are here. One barometer of a quality cafe in Korea is good coffee. But I think it's very ironic that this is the case because Korea can't even grow coffee. And on the other hand, the Philippines, which I've been learning about more and more as I live there, grows incredible coffee. We grow Arabica, Robusta, Liberica, and we have so much lit, fertile terroir from like Benguet to Davao that the kind of flavors that we can create are so vast and different and unique. I've been saying this like a past video, Philippine coffee has so much potential. Whereas we don't have that lit cafe culture, we can get there for sure. You know, something I would personally love to see get more support in is agriculture, because it starts from that first step. When we get more agricultural support, we can make more quality beans that we can export to South Korea or Japan or Australia or basically any city with a really lit third wave coffee scene. So yeah, I mean, Korean cafes, in summary, great coffee, productive or social vibes, and third, a variety of aesthetics. I like industrial ones and I like middle ones because I can't take like a lot of stimulus if I'm being productive. But if I'm being social with friends or I'm like on a date, hit me up. But like I like those aesthetic ones too. I'm trying to feel that K-drama date vibe. If I'm here, why not? Let me know in the comments any favorite cafes you like in Korea, what you think about third wave coffee, market maturity. Have you tried Philippine coffee? If you're interested in Philippine coffee, let me know. Because I love coffee so much, I'm learning more and more about small independent roasters because the market in the Philippines isn't that mature yet. It's gonna get there. A lot of these independent small roasters in Manila or in the Philippines in general don't have their own shops yet. So you basically have to order it and you can make coffee at your house. Thanks for watching. Check out these cafes, they're pretty great. If you need more cafes, like just slide in my DMs. And if you're in Korea, let's hang out. Let's, I'm stuck here.